Good morning, everybody. I'm Kevin. I am a solutions architect here at FileCloud. I will say that I'm not going to have my camera on for much longer because every time I turn it on, it throws a billion errors, and I don't want my presentation to crash. But hello, and it is me. I'm just going to give you a brief overview and a quick demo on what FileCloud can do, what features and capabilities it has to keep your data secure in a ever-growing and ever-changing environment. All right, so just a little bit about FileCloud today. We're a very small company. We have about 150 employees currently. We're hoping to hit that mark at the end of the year. We were originally based out of Austin, Texas, founded in 2016, but we have expanded to take over Europe and the Middle East via Ireland and Dubai. Our core team goes back to the mid 2000s. They are a group of engineers out of Texas University that built this program and built a bunch of other programs to make a secure file sharing platform in today's ecosystem. We currently support customers across the globe, over 2,000 of them in pretty much every industry and every sector imaginable. Our general portion, the largest footprint of ours exists in North America, but as you can see, we exist across the globe to support customers in any feature and any functionality as needed. Our largest piece of the footprint is all about research and development. We are constantly trying to make sure our product stays on the future edge of data security and any kind of growing requirements that exist there. So FileCloud itself follows a basic design and functionality around a couple of common use cases. Predominantly, our bread and butter is secure file sharing, both internally with your users and your employees, and externally. This has been a headache for companies for decades, if not, since the beginning of computer invention. So we've existed in that footprint to provide a secure sharing method that can meet any kind of requirement in any kind of a stasis there. At our core, we are designed to keep sharing simple, secure, intuitive. We allow that process to exist so that we can modernize aging existing infrastructure. File sharing is a footprint of a foundational IT infrastructure. So we like to sit in there to modernize it to make sure that your needs and your use cases can exist alongside new environments, new adversaries, and new regulations. We provide a secure and VPN/gatewayless connection directly into the system. So you don't need to have all these extra technologies included on top just to access your day-to-day file system, while also maintaining a true to form regulation requirement around compliance in federal regulations that both public and private sectors are more and more including inside their day-to-day usability for the system. This includes options to set up multi-site data synchronization across regions for disaster mitigation recovery, or even to allow for systems to be accessible on a region-specific location to keep through bandwidth available without needing to have multiple sites that are not concurrently linked with each other. On top of that, file sharing, data management is an ever-growing process. Agencies, groups, everybody has thousands, if not millions of files. So we allow the operation of a workflow automation within your environment so that you can keep your data flow and secure processes in place, even without the needs for direct hands-on management. So how do we help keep things secure? Step one, customization. A lot of people overlook this in terms of their secure environments. However, what says secure than an environment that is directly related to your own brand? As I mentioned, file sharing is foundational for any IT infrastructure. So you want to make sure that when customers are accessing their day-to-day use case, when your users and your partners are accessing your file shares, that they know what they're accessing and they're not just accessing some site that has no relation to the company. So FileCloud's customization process is pretty thorough, pretty foundational. So we have the ability to change around logos, change around backgrounds, to meld it to your company designs, to your brands, so that your experience can meet what your customers, what your users are looking for. This includes custom CSS entries to be able to fully dictate what not only the login screen, but your entire site looks like, so users are comfortable in their access and in their methods of using the site. This includes general privacy settings like terms of service to make sure that when users are accessing the system, they are following the requirements you have in place, any rules of engagements you have, and that they're maintaining those requirements as they're in the site. So what does this look like for a normal user? FileCloud's original design, intentional user design, is made to be intuitive. It follows traditional design and UI elements for both looks and feel. On login, every licensed user will have their own personal storage that is completely secured by the FileCloud services behind them. Users can use this local storage to upload any files for day-to-day access, to provide a backup location for their normal day-to-day capabilities, or even share files directly from these locations to work alongside other users and other partners to make sure that their day-to-day collaboration remains secure but easy to use and simple to navigate. Um, FileCloud itself is comprised of two main storage options. We have managed storage and network shares. My files is one half of our managed storage compromise, or our managed storage container here. It is fully encrypted, fully encoded, follows every regulatory body in terms of how it needs to be handled, and provides a direct access for users to just navigate through files and folders on a daily basis. The other side of FileCloud is team folders. Of our managed storage is team folders. Team folders are predominantly used functionality for file sharing within FileCloud. It serves to exist as a shared workspace, both between your internal groups, internal users, and any kind of external users, business partners, other agencies, other contractors, for example. Even more so, users that are internal to the company that have the right permissions can further share these as desired, just to maintain their collaboration techniques between anybody and everybody to keep things flowing on a day-to-day basis with a secure wrapper behind it. Team folders can be organized in any way desired. Similar to a standard file server, you can have as many folders, as many subfolders as needed. You can link these to specific groups. You can link them to certain areas of the workforce. Everything is available there to make sure that your data stays organized and structured while remaining secure, safe, and accountable by both users and your admin team to make sure that everything stays in where it needs to be. From a sharing standpoint, users are presented with a couple of different sharing options. We have public options, which allow users to create a publicly facing folder that anybody can access as long as they have the correct link or possibly the correct password for it. These permissions allow everything from view, download, and upload to just specific view only folders, or even upload only, so where you can have a drop off point for data collection experiences. Folders themselves can be public, completely open. These options can be set by any user that has the correct sharing permission options available to them, and can be updated on the fly as needed to dictate how data is accessed, how data is controlled. As I mentioned, this exists both as a openly public folder and a public folder that has a password protection on it. So share owners who create these shares can set a password they desire and dictate access based on that password without requiring other users to log in or go through any kind of account signups. These all permissions can all be changed as needed when needed to better determine how the share is accessed. This includes the ability for share owners to dictate right down to the URL link and the share name. This gives options for users to determine how people can access it and what they're seeing. So instead of a random set of characters, it's linked to whatever organizational unit they want it to be, as well as adding an option such as expiration. A big concern for a lot of file sharing is that somebody shares a file and then it sits out in the world forever and ever, and it can be accessed years, months from now. So FileCloud provides an expiration option to make sure that shares are only accessible for a certain amount of time. Once they hit that time limit, they're removed from the shared world, so they're no longer public. This also includes max download and max upload features to make sure that shares can only be accessed and downloaded so many times, or that so much data can be added to the share before it's no longer editable, accessible. Our third option for sharing here is private sharing. So this is typically the most secure option available here. It allows users to share directly to another user or to another group. This provides more dictated access on what they can and can't do in the file, as well as allowing the FileCloud backend systems to more directly audit and control who's accessing the system. This gives the ability for users to have to go through an authentication process to get into the system, whether it's through, a default authentication type of setup, or even through SSO systems that already provide a singular point of login to make sure that transitions to the system are seamless and easy to use. Uh, Secure collaboration is a big part of using files. Storing files is one part of the puzzle, but being able to use and access those files is the other part of the puzzle. So FileCloud has a couple different abilities to be able to allow users to access files, edit files, and manipulate files as needed, all from the nice form of a browser without needing to download extra applications or jump through hoops and windows just to get those files edited. So FileCloud can directly integrate with Microsoft Office 365 and Google Documents to allow users to directly access those documentation from their browser window in their native Office type clients, and allow the collaboration technique between the two so that like in a standard 365 environment, users have access directly to their files and folders as needed and be able to edit and collaborate as a team within them. This provides a high level of functionality to make sure that day-to-day use of the files can be done in a single one point of contact location. Files don't need to move out of the system. They don't need to transition somewhere else before they're editable. They can all be done from one window, one location, as a single person or as a team to make sure that it stays secure, safe, the data is accounted for, but still easily usable. Now, from the admin standpoint, being able to use the system is one thing, being able to manage the system is another. Admins have a centralized browser portal as well that gives them full control over the system, everything from user and group management to different security settings and even customization options. Admins at their base level will have easy to see, quick to browse dashboard that gives up to the minute real statistics on how the system is being used, how your licensing options are available, what kind of files and what kind of governance options exist in the place, and even who's accessing them and from where. Our user management is designed to be straightforward and simple. Admins can directly add users to the system through our user management portal, whether on a single user basis, or we allow the option to import users both from a predefined CSV file or directly from an Active Directory environment if it's connected to your system. This allows bulk imports of users into the system without needing to manually enter in one by one, as well as allowing to edit users on the fly as needed. As mentioned, our user functionality is very simple. You can determine their access level, their authentication types, usernames, display names, and emails directly from the window, add users that way. Or if you would like to, you can tie into an SSO provider, which will automatically generate these accounts for you. Both options are available across the site. They can be used simultaneously for different groups of users, different batches of users as needed. As an admin, you can manage users on the fly whenever you need to. Every admin has the ability to open these user access details where you can view things like any files they've already uploaded, any shares they've created, even managing any devices they've connected the site with, whether it's a client device or a mobile device of some sort, and directly manage how and when they can access that. You can get real statistics on how much data they've used, how much data they have available, even when they last logged into the system and last used the system. All the information is directly available to admins at their fingertips, right here directly in the user portal or in the user management portal itself. Group management is designed on the same philosophy to be simple and straightforward. Groups can both be created within FileCloud itself, or if you're attached to a Active Directory environment, you can directly import your AD groups into the environment so that you're matching any existing layouts and structural integrities that exist there. The benefit that exists with the AD side of the house is that FileCloud can enumerate NTFS permissions that might already exist in a file system, so that you can leverage your AD users through FileCloud into your existing network storage, existing network file shares to make sure that everything stays secure, stays controllable and accessible as needed. The group import itself can also be set up on a sync option, so that way when admins work out of the AD environment, any changes they make in there are reflected in FileCloud. So you don't need to have two separate plates of management. It can be accessed from one location to make sure that everything is controlled and collected as it needs to be. Creating new groups is just as simple. It allows you to add any members you would like to be in the group, and we also allow you to add in group admins. This gives the ability for specified users to be able to manage group users and user types without needing to give them dictated admin access to the system. This provides a least privileges capability to make sure people stay where they need to be without needing to give them too much access to what they shouldn't have access to. As I mentioned, team folders are generally the biggest part of the FileCloud ecosystem, mostly used in our environments. So from an admin standpoint, team folders are just simple as create as any normal folder. You can make as many team folders as you would like to. You can share them as desired. You can edit them on the fly and work out of them from wherever you need to be worked out of. All of this is accessible via the browser. No extra tools are needed to get this. Each of these provides their own level of security on top of the FileCloud managed storage security functionality. Just as a normal file sharing, admins have the similar file sharing techniques available to them. So when sharing team folders, they can set up custom URLs, custom share names. They can set expirations as well and dictate who and what can access and how they can access a system. And as mentioned, this is done on a user or a group option so that you can create these team shares for entire groups of users or specific subsets of users and dictate how they can access that. Sometimes sharing permissions aren't everything. So sharing permissions give a general easy access to the system. However, sometimes you need more granular permissions. FileCloud has our own ACL style of permission system. We dictate it as folder level permissions. From here, similar to an NTFS environment, you can dictate permissions at a file and folder level based on group and user. You can inherit permissions, you can uninherit permissions. This allows a more granular style approach to make sure that each and every file and folder on the system is correctly accounted for, correctly protected, so that even if a user has access to folders above, they may not need access to folders below, providing that protection window to make sure that things remain unseen, unauthorized access is prevented at all times. These systems work on a most restrictive setup. So while permission sets can get very confusing in times, the system is designed to say that if permission can't be granted unless it is specifically granted, and if there's any conflicting permissions, the most restricted permission will always win. Security wouldn't be anything without governance. So governance is a main piece of our security portfolio. It's a major staple point of our FileCloud admin experience. So we have a built-in governance dashboard that gives admins a up-to-date view of everything across systems security-wise. This includes compliance pieces, data leak policies, any kind of retention policies in place, and any statistics about how these things are enacting on the system. From the get-go, we have retention policy systems in place. We have a couple of different methods, whether it be a standard retention policy or trash archival or even legal holds. These can be set based around file paths or even metadata sets to make sure that data entering your system is retained at the required policies, at the required dates as needed, to make sure that data can't leave the system without meeting these retention policy requirements. Because it can be based on metadata, this can be done based around strict data tagging to make sure that certain data sets are captured without needing to capture an entire environment just to catch the few things that need to be there. We have a custom smart data loss prevention engine in place. This tool, our data loss prevention tool, allows you to create different rules based on different metrics across systems. So that includes login attempts, sharing attempts, and even downloading files. Basic rules could include things like preventing logins from certain countries or only allowing logins from certain countries. We can use data loss prevention with our download rules to prevent any kind of data file types or file paths from being downloaded, even down to the metadata itself. So this can allow you to prevent certain DAG'd files from leaving the system while allowing them to be uploaded so that you can collect but not distribute as needed. Our DLP rule system is very straightforward. We have a built-in GUI tool that can allow you to simplify the setup through rule and expression builder. They follow, and/or rule types, with each option having different drop-down, different abilities to be able to dictate what access you're looking for, what you're looking to block. You can set up custom rule notifications, so that way you can inform users of why they might be violating something or what they might be violating and why they can't perform that function. These rule sets allow you to set in custom HTML code so that you can dictate to different links or have them contact specific people based on the rule violation. And these rules typically set as a deny action, but we also allow more permissive allow only rules. to give them more of a whitelisting feature rather than a blacklisting feature. So metadata is a big part of the system. With metadata in place, a lot of functionality can be included in FileCloud through smart DLP and retention policies, even automated workflows that can work on how metadata is tagged on the system. So how do we get metadata onto the files? You can go the tedious route of adding metadata manually on a user basis, or we have a built-in smart classification system. The smart classification system can be set based on rules and patterns to look for specific expressions, phrases, whatever specifically stands out to a user, to be able to automatically tag those files as those expressions and phases are found. This allows for automation across the entire system, no need to go in and manually tag, and it provides a dedicated control point to be able to express your metadata throughout the entirety of your infrastructure. Setting these rules up is very simple and straightforward. You can set these rules up based on patterns. You can set them to be specific to certain metadata tags. And you can set up filters so that only certain data, only certain locations are drawn into the smart classification experience. But we made it simple and straightforward to make sure that you can properly tag data accordingly so that you can control the data workflow, maintain data security across the system without needing to do a fully manual dictation every time data is uploaded on the system. Compliance is the biggest part of our software. We want to be able to comply with the regulations, any kind of compliance bodies that exist. Notably, we currently have compliance pieces for ITAR, NIST, HIPAA, GDPR, and PDPL. The Compliance Center itself allows you to tie into your various DLP rules, metadata sets, retention policies to comply with the actual regulations, the actual rules that exist in the world today. From a user standpoint, or from an admin standpoint, each rule is laid out, labeled, and has automated check behind it. So when admins go in and enable these rule sets, they'll be asked to go through each of the rules and dictate that they have the right processes. If they don't have something in place, FileCloud will report back that there is a vulnerability of finding in place that needs to be addressed. And without that in place, your compliance isn't meeting the requirements there. This provides just a feature set of capability for admins to make sure that the compliance pieces that they are regulated toward FileCloud is sitting within them. At the end of the day, everything in place needs to be checked. FileCloud has a fully dedicated auditing system in place, an auditing engine. Every single option that happens on the system, every single command is captured by our auditing experience. It means that any options through the admin portal or from my users, whether it's from a web browser or through an agent device, it's all captured, all maintained in a chronological database so that users and admins can go back and review any findings, any issues, and be used for any kind of forensics in the future. This system can be accessed at any time. It can be managed through the browser. You can also download Excel files to be able to plug it into other options, as well as integrating FileCloud with various other third-party applications like CM modules to tie into real-time alerting, real-time auditing systems directly from the scope of the system. Everything in the auditing world is captured on a flow that can't be removed, can't be deleted unless directly done by a specific admin set to make sure that your auditing checks stay in place, your auditing routes are captured, and everything is upheld there. And I appreciate everybody joining me today. There's countless more options and settings available in FileCloud that I would need a couple hours to cover, but you feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions or anything else.